Imagine walking into a store with no intention of buying anything. 10 minutes later, you leave with an expensive watch you cannot afford. You tell yourself, "I deserved it." But that thought may not have been yours. Because some people know how to plant emotions inside your mind using nothing but words, timing, and subtle psychological triggers. A touch on the elbow, a carefully chosen phrase, or a question that sounds completely harmless. And suddenly, your brain begins making decisions you never planned to make. This is not magic. This is psychological programming. Welcome back to Report Crimes. This is part 6 of our Dark Psychology series inspired by Michael Pace's 101 Strategies of Dark Psychology. Tonight, we move beyond manipulation. We enter the world of NLP, hypnotic language patterns, emotional conditioning, and invisible commands. Rule number 51 through rule number 60. The techniques designed to bypass logic and directly influence human behavior. And once you understand them, you will begin noticing them everywhere. In advertisements, relationships, politics, interviews, social media, and even casual conversations. Because the most dangerous prison is the one built inside your own mind. Rule number 51. Anchoring human emotions can be programmed. That is the foundation of anchoring. Anchoring is the process of attaching an emotional state to a specific stimulus, such as a touch, a smell, a song, a phrase, or even a facial expression. Once the emotional connection is created, the manipulator can trigger that emotion again whenever they want. A salesperson may lightly touch your arm while making you feel important and successful. Your brain unconsciously connects that feeling of pride to the person touching you. Later, every repeated touch reactivates the emotion. That pride comes back, even if you do not understand why. This is why anchoring can feel invisible. You think you are making a free choice, but your emotional state has already been triggered. Casinos use this constantly. Bright sounds, celebration music, flashing lights, and dramatic reward effects anchor excitement to losing money. And eventually, people become emotionally addicted to the feeling itself, not the outcome. Rule number 52. Reframing changes the meaning of reality, not the facts, but the interpretation. A manipulator takes something painful, unfair, or unacceptable and gives it a new emotional label. Example, a toxic boss calls unpaid overtime a rare opportunity for growth. A controlling partner says, "I only get jealous because I love you." A company calls exploitation company culture. The situation remains identical, but the emotional meaning changes completely. That is reframing. And once language changes meaning, behavior changes with it. This is why dangerous people fight so hard over words, because whoever controls the label often controls the reaction. Rule number 53. Future pacing. Future pacing forces your brain to imagine compliance before you have agreed to anything. And psychologically, imagined experiences can influence real decisions. Example, a wedding planner asks, "Where would you like your family seated during the ceremony?" Notice what just happened. Your brain skipped the question, "Am I hiring this person?" and jumped directly into the future scenario. Luxury brands use this constantly. They do not ask, "Do you want this car?" They ask, "How would this car look in your driveway?" Your brain begins emotionally living inside the future. And the more vividly you imagine something, the more inevitable it feels. That is the trap. They make your mind rehearse the decision before you consciously make it. Rule number 54. The confusion technique. Confused people are easier to control because confusion temporarily interrupts critical thinking. Manipulators overload your brain with emotional pressure, strange questions, contradictions, rapid information, or sudden topic changes. And during that brief mental disruption, they insert suggestions. Example, scammers often speak extremely fast while constantly changing topics. Your brain becomes too exhausted to properly analyze what is happening. That confusion creates vulnerability, and vulnerability creates compliance. This technique is extremely common in cult recruitment, high-pressure sales, and emotional arguments. Because a confused brain wants relief, manipulators position themselves as the source of that relief. Rule number 55. Embedded commands. Some commands are hidden inside ordinary sentences. These are called embedded commands. The instruction is disguised inside natural language, so your conscious mind does not resist it. Example: a smart person would probably buy this today. The hidden command is, buy this today. Another example: you can relax now and trust the process. The conscious brain hears comfort, but the subconscious hears instruction. That is why hypnotic language feels strangely persuasive, even when it sounds casual. Because the command enters your mind disguised as conversation. And once a command feels like your own thought, resistance becomes much weaker. Rule number 56. Mirroring to disarm. People trust people who resemble themselves. Manipulators understand this deeply. Mirroring means subtly copying another person's posture, tone, speaking rhythm, facial expression, or body language. Not enough to be obvious, just enough to create unconscious familiarity. Suddenly, the manipulator feels safe, comfortable, and familiar, even when they are dangerous. This is why skilled interrogators, negotiators, and seducers often mirror breathing patterns and vocal pacing. Because similarity lowers psychological defenses, and once defenses drop, influence becomes easier. The scary part is that you may not notice the technique. You only notice the feeling. I trust this person. Rule number 57. Questions as commands. The human brain naturally resists direct orders, but questions bypass resistance. Instead of saying, buy this now, a manipulator asks, wouldn't today be the perfect time to finally invest in yourself? It sounds respectful, but psychologically, the question already assumes agreement. This technique quietly guides your thinking without triggering confrontation. Parents use it, salespeople use it, politicians use it, and toxic partners use it. And once you recognize it, you hear it everywhere. A question is not always a question. Sometimes it is an order wearing a mask. Rule number 58. Shared secrets. Nothing creates false intimacy faster than shared secrets. Manipulators reveal personal information or fake vulnerability to create an artificial emotional bond. Suddenly, it feels like us against the world. Example: a toxic friend says, I've never told anyone this before. Immediately, your brain feels chosen, special, and trusted. That emotional privilege creates loyalty, even when the relationship becomes harmful later. Because secrets psychologically create tribal connection, and tribal connection creates emotional blindness. This is how manipulators turn privacy into a cage. Rule number 59. Redemption manipulation. Manipulators often create guilt before offering relief. First, they make you feel selfish, irresponsible, weak, disloyal, or morally flawed. Then they offer redemption, usually through obedience. Example: a company says if you really cared about the team, you would stay longer. Notice the structure: guilt first, redemption second. Cults use this constantly. So do abusive relationships, toxic workplaces, and manipulative families. Because people will do almost anything to escape guilt and feel morally accepted again. This is not motivation. And once someone convinces you that obedience makes you a good person, they can control your behavior while making you feel responsible for it. Rule number 60. Emotional echoing. The final tactic is emotional echoing. This is when someone mirrors your emotional reactions so perfectly that you begin believing this person truly understands me. If you cry, they cry. If you become angry, they become angry. If you feel betrayed, they reflect betrayal back to you. The connection feels deep, intense, and almost supernatural. But sometimes it is calculated, because emotional synchronization creates rapid attachment, and rapid attachment creates dependency. The manipulator becomes your emotional mirror. And eventually, you stop trusting your own emotions without them. That is the final trap. They do not just reflect your feelings, they become the person you use to understand yourself. Most people think manipulation happens through actions, but language is often the real weapon. Words shape emotions, emotions shape decisions, and decisions shape identity. The person controlling language is often controlling reality itself. You have now uncovered rule number 51 through rule number 60 of dark psychology. Your mind is becoming harder to program. But the next chapter is even darker. Because in part 7, we enter brainwashing and ideological reprogramming. Sleep deprivation, identity destruction, group obedience, and psychological conditioning. The systems designed to erase individuality itself. Subscribe to report crimes. And remember, the most powerful chains are invisible.